U.S. list? I didn't think so, right? Because you're stuck on their limited app store, right? So at that point, you're either in the Android or Apple camp, right?
Yes. Even Fire TV is like a backloaded thing.
I mean, because it's
But
Android. I mean, that's
yeah, the M3U stuff. But like I don't have that
because I'm
issue.
trying.
I have a bunch of Roku TVs for convenience, but that's only cable, right? That's only a subset of programming.
But,
Like everything
but
else
see
is
that
on an app on something else.
that's the hold up for me because I know Renee and all them they all have, like I said, they have Roku TVs. Everything is Roku TV. That's the only thing that's holding up for me.
So I've tested it on Walmart has that deal with, they've got a deal with Roku, they got a deal with Google TV. They make that
Mm.
on branded stuff. I bought it on Google TV about 6 months ago to test it on a TV it's just an old 1080p Vizio. It's not smart or anything. And I just popped it in there to see if it was going to be a good solution for like volume control and that sort of stuff. And without naming names, it didn't have our current cable provider on there. So that was
Mm.
not as useful as one that would support our current cable provider, but it fired right up on that device. And they recommend the new Roku Fire Stick. I bought one, and I believe it or not, it's the one device I haven't been able to get it up and running on. But it's their new Fire Stick Max. It's like the Wi-Fi 6E capable one. It's the one they
Yeah.
recommend for Xbox Game Pass streaming directly to, which I'm also very interested in and have yet to been able to try.
I mean, which is wild because I'm like, now we have this new console we're gonna talk about that has fucking Wi-Fi 7 and a new iPhone that has
Yeah,
Wi-Fi 7 and that fucking Wi-Fi 7 router is so fucking
and it's
expensive. I'm
not
like,
even a
holy,
stand. It's not even a standard yet, right? Like they haven't decided on
it's a
Wi-Fi.
standard.
I didn't think they had settled on an actual
It
spectrum for
seven at
Wi-Fi
seven's a
7.
standard. It's just it's not affordable. I've looked. I
Yeah,
was like, this shit is expensive. I was like, nobody's gonna have a 7 lying around like in a house somewhere. Like, oh great, I can hook up
no.
It's
this
future
thing.
proof.
I mean, I seen them at Costco, but what does that mean, Brant? I bought this 6E last year that was future proof, right? I'm looking
6E.
at a
I got a
Wi-Fi
6E.
6E router right now.
That
Yeah,
means
I got
in
it.
that means in 2 years when your 7 becomes more affordable, you won't have to worry about it.
Possibly
And then in another
8,
8 years
7E.
past that,
Yeah.
they'll have the new
Yeah.
console come out with.
I'm not chasing this shit. It does everything I need it to do. The major upgrade, we talked about the old Xbox consoles a couple weeks ago, but I still have to swap out that VCR Xbox with the Series, not Series X, the One X that I'm gonna put up there because it went from an in radio to an AC radio. I saw that and I was like, no wonder this shit takes fucking forever to upload or to update Halo or whatever they're wanting to play. Like
Yeah.
this is stupid.
I mean, not to mention that it just anything I have, most of my Xbox is hardwire, and that shit's just slow on their
Yeah.
server. So,
Their
because like I'll
servers
get
are
their
garbage.
I get the classic Microsoft speed, like oh gig downloading 50 megs, gig 50 megs. I'm like holy shit.
I sent y'all that picture when I was trying to update something. We were about to, was it Warzone we were about to play? And I had kilobits per second, and then I had gigabits per second. It's like, how is this range even acceptable? Nothing on my network is changing. My network is staying stable.
That's the whole fucking Microsoft time, man. It's
Stupid.
like you pop a fucking Linux in there and you don't have to deal with that shit. Like a stable download speeds. It's like accurate. It may take longer shit, but at least I know what I'm getting.
Right. It's steady. Oh boy, you guys ready? We're ready to knock this one out. We're not far from games played. I think I have nothing to add. Spoilers for those still hanging with us.
I'm almost done with the game I had played. So
yeah, that'll be an update. I mean, we talked about it last week, so
I have
3 days ago.
I'll touch up on it, but I won't go too deep in it because I don't know if Brant started his playthrough yet, so
no,
I don't want to.
My copy just came in today.
Yeah, thanks Renee for the shout out. Renee reposted us, retweeted us.
Yeah,
not a repost.
I saw he was in the living room watching Terminator 0. I was like, oh god,
as one does.
Yeah.
Arizona Ice Tea Twitter account is pointing out you could buy one PS5 Pro or 700 Arizona teas.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I see that trend on Twitter where like
they're comparing, like the business models are comparing all the
Oh my God.
I knew it was coming. I don't know why everybody thought it was gonna be less than a PS5. I was like,
I never thought it was gonna be less. Who came up with that?
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not surprised. Everybody's kind of shocked. Like, oh, it's this much money. I was like, I mean, we're finally like, I think was it John Lennon, where he's like, we're finally back to 3DO era, like $900.
Yeah.
It's like, we're back, baby.
Michael Huber from Easy Ally says $699.
I think somebody had said with inflation, I think the PS3 would have been $900 now. So that's the
Yeah. Why didn't he just come up there and go $699?
Look at those old. Oh God! I mean, look at those old consoles with inflation. It's ridiculous. And the N64 cartridges we used to buy that were like $70-$80.
Mm-hmm.
Realize how close that gap got. Like you could get an N64 with a controller for $100, and games were like $70 and $80 on top of that. You got the whole console with the extra controller.
I still remember going into Best Buy and Chrono Trigger was like $75 for a cartridge for Super Nintendo, man. So
pay by the meg. Hey, the more megs, the better the game.
I was like, I'll never afford to buy that game new. I remember looking at that. I was like,
never getting this game.
$bucks.
It was hard to come by when I jumped on that Funko Land list, but then they called me whenever they got one, and it was $40. I paid $40 for Chrono Trigger and $40 for Earthbound. They were both $39.99, which was the top end of Super Nintendo games at that time.
It's like you said, man, that was the best version to play until it came out on DS and Steam, right? So
yeah, I would still say DS is the way to go. The 2-screen is just unparalleled.
I mean, they fixed it on Steam. They updated and then leave it bullshitty. So
the garbage fonts and stuff.
I mean, it's Super Nintendo now at this point. When you turn on those fonts,
yeah. Just like the Final Fantasy remasters, right? The pixel remasters.
Yeah, when they fixed it, they've done it right the first time when they released it on consoles. So.
Yeah. Are we all here? People are dropping. Like we lost 2 people already.
No, I'm not even on there. Hold on.
I didn't get a go live either. Did you guys?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I can never tell anymore.
My notifications are pretty much silenced. Nope, I got nothing.
Something like a one-time it'll work, the next time it won't. So
I hate the new Twitch too. It sucks.
I always get welcome to the chat room nonstop. Welcome to the chat room. Welcome to the chat room. Welcome to the chat room.
For us?
Welcome to the chat room. Yeah. But I think that's for everybody.
I mean, Renee told us hello as soon as he got on.
No, I'm talking about for Twitch, not YouTube. Welcome to the chat room. Welcome to the chat room.
All right, you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Yes.
We've been on the call for 41 minutes and 42 seconds.
My bad.
It says 7 minutes on here.
Some of us have been.
My bad.
Oh, 7 minutes on Twitch. I'm just giving you a hard time, Brant.
Don't worry, Brant. We use that. Yeah, don't worry. Use that about 35 minutes to talk shit about you the whole time.
Only you.
Yeah, only you.
All right.
That's how obsessed we are.
That's how we do it, though.
Like, all right,
that's how obsessed. That's how obsessed we are about you. We had to talk shit about you.
If we talk shit about the person that's not here, they show up.
Yep. It's like, all right, guys, cut it out. The other guy's here. We are the good, the bad, and the ugly at any given time.
Every time we see Brant, like, hey, Brant, when we get the high pitch, hey, you know we're talking shit about you.
Hey, he's here.
Hey,
he's here. Gotta stop. Oh, Brant's back.
As Richard was saying earlier, shut the fuck up. We'll talk about it on air. Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 318 of the NOFODcast. We are No Outside Food or Drink, the Southeast premier video game, and I got nothing. We're only good at video games this week. Kaz Hirai console price announcement appreciation podcast. How's that? It was Kaz Hirai, right?
Not bad.
Yeah. As Brant phrased earlier for us.
Even though his parody Twitter account was probably the most famous version.
Oh my god, that was such a good riff on that character, right? We all apprecited that. Not Kaz Hirai.
He retired. Remember when he Kaz retired? He's like, I'm gonna retire, and I think he always pops up every so often. I'm surprised he didn't pop up for the Pro. because he always like wants to bloom in the login and make some kind of joke and then disappear to ether again.
Well, I always think like we're gonna get to this news, but I always think of like the Andrew House presentations with, man, that was a dream team. Andrew House, Kaz Hirai, Gio Corsi. Who else was in that group? Adam Boyes, Shuhei. They trotted out these theme. That was maybe that's part of what makes some of these newer announcements not as.
They're more.
Yeah,
it seems more.
They got a different
suits,
feeling, right?
Yeah. More suits based, like profits, stocks.
And even at that, like Mark Cerny is he's less a suit, but he's also very much a technical person. He is Mark Cerny is the type of engineering wizard that when he walks in a room, he's instantly the smartest person in the room, right? And that doesn't always convey, maybe Shuhei is like that, but he always had that middle ground of still getting across to the developer, the gamer, and the business person at the same time. You remember the Iwata quote that was like, on my business card, it says I'm president of Nintendo, but I'm also a game developer and a gamer. And I think there's one other thing on there. And Shuhei, I think, kind of personified that for Sony. Like, you got that same feeling of like, this dude gets it from top to bottom. And that's not Mark Cerny. I'm not knocking Mark Cerny. We love seeing the annual appearance of the Vio computer. Brant reaches for his Vio computer. It's a copy of Days Gone and his drink.
I was disappointed that we didn't get to see a Vio commuter as he talked and just had it out like this.
Man, the Vio's legendary. We used to see that all the time. But, Mark Cerny is a particular type of genius, yes. Lead architect of PS4, Vita, PS5, and now PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
Spoilers for later in the show, the PS5 Pro.
I mean, the worst kept secret in gaming history this year, right? So
yeah.
At least we actually know what it is. We know what it is, and we know how much it costs.
I mean, we'll talk about it later, but I mean, I love the Sony, let's announce new hardware, but not show any reason why you should own this hardware.
Yeah.
That becomes a very compelling argument there, Cesar.
I think they did this last time with the PS4 Pro. Remember, I was only excited about it when they're like, oh, that's 4K. I have a 4K TV. This might actually benefit me depending on how it looks.
I'm looking at mine, and mine was a compelling argument at a certain point, and I don't know that this one is. But tonight's news is Astrobot DLC, ? We haven't even beat the full game yet. Cesar might have. Ubisoft urged to go private? That should be the ? What the hell is that? New Game Pass tier now available. Sign up here. Not with us. And the PlayStation 5 Pro has officially been announced. Cesar and Brand have both pre-ordered theirs. I'm going to enjoy my...
I was like, oh, so $700?
Pre-ordered.
Me and Brand are over here, Scrooge McDuck, and we're just tripping over like stacks of dollar bills and $100 bills. And like, oh, you know what? It's only $700. Let me just throw it on my screen. It's fine.
Richard's so excited he's going to sell his copy of Panzer Dragoon Saga.
He could fund it with that.
Yeah, he could. And Burning Ranger.
Along with a couple games.
He's going to buy 2.
I don't have Burning Rangers. I mistakenly sold Burning Rangers many years ago. I won't say mistakenly. The profit turned on Burning Rangers was acceptable. And and now I still have access to Burning Rangers. I just don't have the manual.
Just do it.
I just don't have the manual.
It, right? Yeah, you're fine.
That's all I'm out is the manual. I keep telling myself that. It's not the same, but I keep telling myself that. We had to move. I sold a couple games. I can play all of those games right now today. I probably have a version of that, of each one of those, but yes, I do think about that on occasion. Cesar was there when I got my PS4 Pro. GameStop had some crazy trade-in deal, and you were getting like 4 times the amount of whatever the games were. And I actually took some old school stuff in there. I had like Castlevania Legends for the Game Boy that I had found at Goodwill that ended up being like $100 or something. I took a couple ridiculously priced things in there and walked out with a PS4 Pro. I'm looking at it now. It has
you never. This could be the last time you'll be able to do it with a certain retailer where you can.
I hope that certain retailer dies.
I
would not miss them. I know Brant seems to have reestablished a relationship with him. A certain location. I would like if they
Only
burned to the
like-
ground and some other company came up in its place.
I mean, I don't want to go too off the wall, but I saw that and you guys might have saw the same thing too, where they were talking about somebody had pointed out that they noticed that some of these certain locations had repo carts, and they had talked to the store manager, and like, yeah, they were told, like, yeah, we were told from corporate, if it plays, we don't question on the quality of the cart.
Here we go.
So they
Here
like
we
somebody
go.
had noticed that somebody was like charging $80 for repo carts. So
Oh wow.
Can I trade
just
in said
beware.
repo carts? Repro
You
carts.
can.
Apparently,
Apparently, they said if it plays, that's all they check. They
they're
do not.
yeah, they're probably not going to take that security bit and open it up.
So I got
Gentlemen,
lost. I got lost in the Reddit thread apparently when they were talking about that. So
gentlemen, do we fund our PS5 Pros with bootleg Game Boy cartridges?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, just taking a bunch of copies of bootleg Pokemon for the Game Boy, and
if
there you go, PS5 Pro.
If it looks legit, it'll sell, man. Because I mean, I got a fucking rip off copy of Topspin, so fucking Walmart fell for it.
Your CD-ROM top spin.
Yeah, you didn't talk about that last week.
So that's
I
right.
don't
There
need
might
to.
have been a
Yeah,
might have been
no.
online doubles on that
Buyer
CD-ROM.
beware.
The first thing Richard asked me, like, "What's on the CD-ROM? Is there new music on there?"
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
want to know. I want to know what they
That's-
actually burned to
that's
that
my-
disc. I'm like, dude, pop into that
That's
disc and
what
see
you
what's
want to
on
know.
there.
I was like, Richard, yeah, that's my biggest concern right now at this point in time is to figure out what's on the CD. And I told him, like, yeah, I didn't plug it in to see if there's anything on there. It was nothing. So I was curious, like, oh, maybe they put a
Oh
like
my
a Marilyn
God.
Manson soundtrack on here or something like that. You know, you never know. I might get beautiful people playing for the next 60 minutes.
My broken brain went to, please put that PS5 Topspin copy into original Xbox and rip whatever soundtrack that is to the hard drive, and you can have that forever.
No. They spend more time to put a label,
A
printed
bootleg
label,
label.
on a blank CD. I at least could have put something on that blank CD.
It
though.
wasn't even a label that looked like the official disc label. It was just
It
it
wa-
was the box
it was a
art
printed
again,
cup.
right?
It was a printed cover in the
Mhm.
box art with a very shiny version of a Serena on there that looks very fake.
The Serena in the game does not look fake.
I can't give them shit, Brand. I fell for it because I just took the disc out and even paid attention to it. I just put it in my PS5 and I was telling Richard, I was like, my PS5 was like scrunch and they load the disc in there. I was like,
I was
what the
worried.
fuck? I was like, maybe
did it fuck up your PS5?
I thought maybe I just like put it in there like at an angle and it just fixed itself up. And then I looked at it, I was like, oh no. I was like, that's all it was, is because it wasn't even a real fucking disc, because it was just thicker because of that label on top. So, but it loaded up my other games just fine. So I was like, I guess I didn't mess it up. So I haven't had any other issues with it. So
How much does a Game Boy copy of a Pokemon like Yellow trade in for?
oh my god, we're doing this.
Did they
for
have
real?
trade specials? So I may have told the story on the show before, but back in the day, a certain retailer that I may or may not have worked for, if you traded in a game, it either got a denomination, it got a nomenclature on the SKU that would say either PO or POX. And so games that were traded in, they would apply to a certain specific store promotion. So the one I specifically abused was... That's interesting. It would be Twilight Princess, because this was a year after the... Did Twilight Princess get a delay? Because I paid for the 360 with this promo.
I think so, because then
I think so too.
they delayed it and then they put it on Wii first, and then they released the GameCube one like later, right? Was that the whole ordeal?
Yes, but it was a year, because I paid for the 360 with this promo. So, Brant, for example, if somebody brought in a bunch of games, and you would get, it would either be PO or POX, and PO would apply for the promo. So, if you traded in 5 games that had the PO prefix, I guess we'll call it, it would apply to that promo. So, it'd be like trade in 5 games, qualifying games for Twilight Princess. So that would be an instant $50. So the company I worked for at the time was not as what's the right term? They did not monitor and hover over trade-in things from associates quite as closely as the company that ended up purchasing them. So if you were to tell a customer, hey, you're only going to get $10 for these 5 games, if you're not getting one of these promo games, then I will give you 15 or 20 to get these. Then we would trade in those PO games towards one of these pre-order things. And then if you cancel that, you got that $50 credits towards something else. So I ended up, that's the only way I was able to on my $8 an hour salary or whatever it was to get a launch 360 was swindling these promo deals. And it was always for, like, I remember Twilight Princess, but I feel like it was for Madden. It was for like a Mortal Kombat that came out that year. What would that have been? Armageddon, maybe? Came out for like PS2, Wii, and Xbox.
Yeah.
Armageddon.
It's around that weird time when, like, was it Shaolin Monks? All those little
Yeah.
side stores are coming out.
Yeah. Because I led the company in one of those. I can't remember if it was Armageddon or Shaolin Monks. We had an associate that worked for Chick-fil-A. So we gave a Chick-fil-A sandwich with pre-order of a certain Mortal Kombat SKU. And we led the company in pre-orders for this.
I remember because that person kept responding, "My pleasure," and you kept telling him, like, "This is not Chick-fil-A." You kept telling him to stop saying that. It's not Chick-fil-A.
This isn't Chick-fil-A, dude. I haven't seen that
It's
guy
like,
in
"My
a
pleasure."
long time.
Yeah, it's like, "My pleasure." I remember that. My pleasure.
We came up with all kind of crap. He was a good salesman though. He didn't get the PS3 because he was waiting for God of War. He's like, I don't need that. I still got my PS2. I just want God of War 2. I think he had left us by that point. Brant, he was employed at a Chick-fil-A close to a place we may or may not be employed at the far end of that road. I don't even know if that location's still there. It's a much older location. But he was a pretty solid, I mean, we were slinging those free Chick-fil-A cards left and right. He brought in a box of them. He would just bring in a box of them. And when people were confronted with, like, just put $5 down on a game, get a free Chick-fil-A card, then they were more than likely to be game for this. Yeah.
I mean, you don't. At this point, you don't have to pick it up, right? I mean, you just
move it to something else.
Sandwich for your purchase.
No, that was part of the pitch. Hey, you don't want this? Just come back in and move it to something else, and that would give us credit for that one. Let's get on to news instead of my shady retail dealings back in the day to try to keep my job making $10 an hour. By the time I was an assistant manager, 60-hour weeks. Astrobot DLC. What is this, a week after launch? Astrobot free DLC coming in 2024. Adds speed runs and new VIP bots. This comes from...
For Brent's game of the year that he hasn't played yet.
I heard him say game of the decade, but yes, we'll go with year for now. This comes from Sal Romano. Game of the century. It's been a brief century. Renee says he wants his... What is that?
It's a little bit early. We got 76 more years. I probably want to put a pause on the game of the century.
Are we going to be playing games for 76 more years?
Nah, I don't know if I will be.
Renee says I want my games at $1.99.5 and my beer at $1.99 7/8. That sounds like a reasonable rate. This comes from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Publisher Sony Interactive Entertainment and developer team Asobi will release free downloadable content for Astrobot in 2024. Which will add speedruns and new VIP bots. Quote, yes, we will have free DLC, so it's going to be free. Doucette said, that is Nicolas Doucette. It's going to come this year. It will be smaller. It's not going to be like, a huge amount, but it will be focusing on one of the features that people enjoyed in Astro's Playroom. That was the speedruns. There were some speedruns, and the levels were quite short, but it was the fact that you could replay and keep shaving time off. With new VIP bots to rescue, so some characters we didn't include yet will appear, but yeah, that's going to come, and I'm reading this like he's saying it. It is a legit quote. But yeah, that's going to come, and that's going to focus really on kind of challenging levels, but if we can, we'd like to also insert something a bit toy feeling, something that could be really like for any player, but we're not too sure about that one, but the challenging stuff is definitely coming, end quote.
Hello, fellow kids, how do you do?
Yeah, right. Thank you, Doucette. Asked if the speedrun DLC will include leaderboards, Doucette confirmed with a simple, yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, I misquoted Doucette. Speaking of VIP bots, the credits for Astrobot mentioned trademarks for several properties that did not appear as VIP bots in the game, including... I have nothing there. It's just spoilers, I guess. I have nothing in that.
Yeah, if you click down, it shows you that some of the stuff was leaked out on the credits, so I guess those are like...
Are they spoilers? We're just going to leave that alone? I say we leave that alone.
That's up to. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be surprised by it, just all depends.
Yeah, I don't even see it in that. I don't even see it
I
in
mean,
the
I know.
news. Where do you click that?
So there's a drop down menu. If you go to spoilers, trademark, and Astrobot credits, just like an arrow down, you click
Oh,
on
there
it,
it is. They put
and
the
it opens
spoilers in
up.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mainly some Ubisoft stuff. So think of
No, I
some
mean number 3 is it's gonna be a Branch second game of the
and
year.
some Brant stuff. Some
Yeah.
Ubisoft stuff and some Brant stuff. The two extremes, the Brant stuff and the Ubisoft stuff, rarely collide, except for Skull and Bones. All right, that's your.
Oh god, put Skull and Bones in there, man. Do it.
Speaking of
it.
Ubisoft updates,
Do it, you fucking cowards.
this comes from Tom Ivan at VGC VideoGamesChronicle.com. Ubisoft shares plunge again after investor urges company to go private. Wow, why are they on their ass? Ubisoft's share price plunged again on Monday after a minority investor called on management to take the company private or let it be sold to a strategic investor. Who would that be? Who's considered a strategic investor?
I believe I heard Tencent floated around.
They own 10% of the company already.
Tencent does?
Mm-hmm.
Don't they have their hands in Nintendo as well?
Yeah, it's one of those ones where, they buy up small shares just to get a filler. It happens often, so I mean, because I think you have also you have some the Saudi Arabia government owns some of the shares.
Oh yeah, that's really who I was thinking of with Nintendo.
Yeah.
Quote from VideoGamesChronicle.com: the Assassin's Creed publisher's share price fell almost 10% during trading today before closing down at 7.13%. It has fallen more than 50% over the last 12 months and now sits close to a 10-year low. This is not in the article, but is now the time to buy Ubisoft shares.
Yeah. I mean, without you going too much for detail, the problem is they're so heavy with so many studios and labor.
Right.
I don't see anybody buying them because, I mean, the first thing, even if they go private, the first thing you're going to do is start firing people. That's what's going to end up happening. They go private, you're going to fire people. If they get sold to somebody, they're going to fire the hell out of everybody. You know what I mean? So, I mean, because if they get sold, they're buying them for their IPs, right? So.
And on that note, Ubisoft is essentially Sony-esque in that they're sitting on a shit ton of IPs, right? Mm-hmm. Could you say Microsoft? Would you put Microsoft in that boat too? Sitting on a shit ton of IPs they purchased that they're doing absolutely nothing with. Mm-hmm. Nintendo is the only one that we keep getting crap from.
I mean, the only one we lost out of was Chibi Robo, where they came out and did their own indie game. That's the spiritual successor. That's it. Because at that point, we know Chibi Robo's not coming back. So.
And the stuff people want, like that are pipe dreams, like a new F-Zero or new Wave Race, but we are at least getting support of those and backwards compatible
like
stuff.
F-Zero should be a real thing, man. Wave Race I can argue, or Pilot Wings I can argue. Like, all right, man, I want another one.
Right. But... yeah, F-Zero. Head scratcher on that one.
That sucks, man. Yeah.
Back to this Ubisoft story. The company's share price had already significantly declined earlier this month, reportedly driven by a combination of a poorer than expected launch for Star Wars Outlaws and a sharp decline in interest in free-to-play shooter X Defiant. This is not an article. I forgot X Defiant came out. Did you guys?
I
think everybody did.
Yeah, I played it once.
It is Ubisoft's Concord. Too soon? Oh, I've stopped getting copies of Concord sent to me as well. I have yet to pay for a copy of Concord as well.
I have. I just got a notification from UPS that I have something coming to me from Concord, North Carolina. I saw Concord. I was like, ooh, and then I looked at it and said North Carolina.
Like, didn't they cancel that?
Like, oh. It's like something's coming from Concord. I was like, oh.
Cesar, did you get your refund? I think that would be a fun thing to track every week because it said it could be a while.
I literally got the notification that the game has been removed from my library, and then my refund will be processed in the next 30 to 60 days.
All right, so we may check in weekly and just see.
It is not. Don't know if I even notice because I'm gonna have to go to my bank account because it's gonna be refunded in the way I was purchased, which will be my debit card. So it's be extra work for me to go there and look at it. And like, oh, did they finally?
Are they also required to notify you and not just refund you? Did they have to say, hey, this actually got sent to you?
I think I got my notification already. Like, hey, this game is removed. You can't access it. You'll be refunded within 30 to 60 days. I think what's gonna happen? I'm just gonna randomly look in one day and I'm just gonna like, oh, here's an extra $43 in my account. So from Sony.
Like, oh, there it is.
I was like, normally I only see subtractions. How did I get an addition in here? That's not a paycheck. I was like, whoa.
Extra $40 paycheck. The article continues. On Monday, hedge fund AJ Investments published an open letter calling for strategic and structural changes at Ubisoft. It urged the board to consider taking the company private. Quote, implement a comprehensive cost reduction program and optimize staffing levels to be more comparable with industry leaders. Increase its focus on core IPs and consider replacing current CEO Yves Guillemot, who's been there forever. Slovakia-based AJ Investments holds less than 1% in Ubisoft, according to Wall Street Journal. The creative director of Star Wars Outlaws has said he's a, quote, little disappointed with review scores for the game, and the developer Ubisoft Massive is committed to improving the title with post-release updates. Yeah. Ubisoft today began rewarding X-Defiant players with free virtual currency for logging into the game, seemingly in a bid to boost engagement as the title's first season of live content draws to a close. So go ahead, Cesar.
There's a couple things in there. So you had X-Defiant, which is supposed to be in that crowded space where you're taking out Warzone. I mean, it's a Call of Duty shooter.
Is that
right?
what it is? Is that what it is? More so than like a Concord?
It's essentially it's like a multiplayer Call of Duty. It's not like Warzone, but it's just multiplayer Call of Duty. It's what it is, basically what it is. It's a faster pace. That's all. So I mean, that's already crowded, and I think Jeff Grubb came out and said like, you see, this is the reason why EA got away from doing exclusive Star Wars content, because Star Wars is not as hot as it used to be. So like, you pour all this money to release a Star Wars game, and you usually get decent reviews.
And this is the best one out of recent memory, like up there with the Jedi Survivor type series.
Yeah, and the reviews are not bad. Right. They're just, most of them have been B base, and it's the first open world one. So,
and what do we also know between the three of us? What is a Ubisoft game gonna do in the first 3 months, 2 to 3 months? If you're interested in a Ubisoft game, it's going to be at least 35% off within that time frame.
Unless you're Avatar and you're waiting for that Ultimate Edition to drop to affordable price, it just hovers at that $40 price range forever.
I keep looking at that Avatar game.
Yeah, I wanted to, man. I look at it, I was like, oh.
But I hemmed and hawed on Beyond Good and Evil, and then that was like 30 days, I think, that it dropped. I think it was half. But it was a $20 game already, so a $13 sale price. Get more players in there. Show people they're interested in Beyond Good and Evil. But they've shown us what that does. I said 15 years, but I remember Splinter Cell on the Xbox dropping super fast, and that was a huge game for the original Xbox. Mm-hmm. That was one of the first games that Russell and I got, and that was long time before the 360, and it was, I want to say, $5 to $10 that we picked that one up for, and that was a major exclusive at the time. Yeah, X-Defiant. I couldn't tell you a damn thing about X-Defiant.
It's in a crowded market.
Should we look into it?
Free to play.
Should we stream some X-Defiant?
We can. I mean, I'm still trying to get you guys to stream the finals with me. Nobody wants to play the finals with me, and that game's actually pretty good. So
finals.
What do I have that on? This is where we get to. Oh, I downloaded that on something. What do I have that on?
It is a free to play on everything. It's like where you're trying to. It's kind of like Counter-Strike, but you're like robbing casinos, but it's a first-person shooter type thing. So.
Okay. So I may take you up on that because I have it on something because it keeps telling me it updated.
Yeah, they announced it on the Game Awards, and I downloaded immediately and played a couple rounds of it. It's pretty good. So.
I need a free-to-play box.
It's been out over a year. Yeah.
I need us to decide a platform that we're just going to throw all this free-to-play stuff on. If it's the Xbox, that's fine. That's where Warzone's already at. Let me just throw a bunch of shit on this Xbox.
It's funny you mentioned that, and Renee might say that on the chat. Renee's like, he literally plays nothing on an Xbox, so he made that his console just to download free-to-play games on there. He downloaded like Valorant on there, the Finals,
it checks out.
Apex.
I don't know that I have anything
Warzone.
Compelling. Yes, Apex. Yeah. Apex would be a good Xbox game.
He threw all that on an Xbox. Like, you know what? I'm just gonna. He said I'm tired of using this thing. He's like, I'll put the free-to-play games on there.
He's not wrong. It's a dedicated Warzone machine for me. I have yet to dip into like even Starfield. I haven't downloaded Starfield to try out. What is the last exclusive Xbox game I played? Psychonauts?
I mean, no, because that's
not exclusive.
That's from PlayStation. Yeah. I'm excited about Indiana Jones. That's probably the next one that I'm excited about. So, even though it's a time exclusive, so
yeah, I'll download Indy and play it.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's it for me. I mean, I think Renee said that's what he did.
Yeah, Renee said. I think Renee's confirming.
I mean, I have Game Pass, and I still haven't been interested in playing Hellblade 2 for whatever reason. I think I got to be in the right mood for that.
I know I'm sitting on the
I hear
first
good
one.
things
It's
about
that
it.
barrier of like I'm sitting on the first one. I need
First
to play
one
that
was
one
good.
first. Yeah.
First one is good. I think I just have to be in the mood to play it. I just don't think
Yeah.
I was like, all right, day one, let's fucking go. You know, like I downloaded, let's like super excited about it. I don't think it's that kind of thing for me, but
I think that makes one of our upcoming stories a lot less compelling with this spread of just free to play titles. Like, what are we actually going to get out of this stuff? Because to reach mass market and mass appeal, you have to make something that plays on all these different devices, right? So why do you need this new $700 thing? Is it going to blow what we can already get out of PS4 out of the water? Is it that much more compelling when developers know they're going to make their money off of skins for a game that runs on PS4? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, just like all these industry moves. Like, none of us are fanboys enough of anything to like be. We don't work for any of these corporations, so a lot of it's just interesting to see how this stuff plays out. Is that it for the Ubisoft story?
Yeah.
So.
I'm gonna take the next one here.
Game Pass.
It's from VGC, from Tom Ivan.
Thanks, Tom.
So we've talked about this the last couple months. The new tier of Game Pass is officially launched. So I think this is what the $14.99 a month US dollar Game Pass console tier standard plan, which is the Game Pass that launches without day one exclusives. So you won't be getting like Indiana Jones day one.
Yeah.
You'll be getting mostly some of the older back catalog of the Xbox game studios, most of the indie stuff, and it seems like you'll get the newer releases at a little bit later date. I don't think they've gone in there and say like, oh, 6 months later. I don't think they've given a timeline for that yet. Right. So I think this is like their middle tier, which I think, in my personal opinion, people will call me crazy and they will say I'm wrong. I think at some point I would think they would phase out the ultimate plan and just get standard if they want to really get their first party games to sell well. But
would you say like
the price for the ultimate
split PC out
like
again?
Crazy. I don't know.
Didn't Ultimate used to be $15 a month?
Yeah, I think they dropped it up. They jumped it up to 20. But I think they're really pushing hard for people to jump on the standard plan because I think they're trying to get their sales up for their first party. So
Ultimate was 14 and then it jumped to 16.
$15.99 or something like that, right?
And now it's like 20.
Okay.
I see Ultimate, if it stays around, keep going. It's going to keep going up in price. I think
it'll jump to 24.
Yeah, maybe 29 at some point. And I think you're going to have more people go to the standard one and actually just start trying to buy in their catalog games.
So when it was super cheap, we've all been Game Pass Ultimate subscribers for years, right? Like it was an easy conversion when they first announced it, and then we all made the decision, hey, let's keep this going. For me, it was like finding the cheapest rate of that just for convenience. Like I think I didn't have it for a week or two, and I couldn't do simple stuff like play Halo 1 or 2 online. Like that wouldn't work.
You tried it. Yeah. I remember you tried it like, I mostly just play these and what issues will I run into?
But it was balking me, and it got weird because like I've owned a digital copy of Halo Master Chief Collection since the day it came out. Like I got that. Cesar, you and I got that specific SKU that came with that game. Like I've owned this since it came out. Why is it telling me that I have to have a specific tier of this online play to access these features?
It's like that weird shit that you encounter in the PlayStation Store when you try to buy something and you're part of their subscription service. Like I had the same issue trying to buy one of the classics game because it's like, oh, you have the highest tier, just download it. And I'm like, I want to fucking buy it. It's on sale because I was looking at Tomb Raider Legend. It was on sale. I was like, let me see how much it's on sale.
What did that drop? What did that drop to?
It was like $14.99. I still didn't buy it. I was like,
damn,
so
that's not a deal.
Yeah, but I wanted to look at the price, right? And it's like, ever will just fucking tell me like download it now, download it now. It's like I had to sit there and go like to ellipses to another ellipses to another ellipses to finally give me to show the price where I could buy it. It was like so much fucking work. I was like, geez, just like give me ability just to press one button to buy something. Even though I get it, I have a subscription, I don't have to buy it, but give me the easier way to get the fucking option because I know you had the remake for 7 that you had the hardest time.
I never. How much it was. I tried to buy it. I tried to buy it.
Like,
and I never was able to. Yeah.
So to answer your question, for me to work, it wouldn't work on the app. I had to do it on the console, and I had to hit several different layers of ellipses to get to the right page to just get to the buy page. It's not easy. and it's like I couldn't do it from the app for the life of me because it just
Yeah.
said download now, download now. It's like it was impossible in the app.
And Xbox
So you have
will do
to-
that when it's free to start. Also, they confuse
Yeah.
that. It's like, okay, I know this is on sale for $4.99. You're telling me just it says add to console. I think on Xbox, it's like add to console. It's like
start to
I'm like,
download.
what is how does that help me? I'm trying to give you $5 for this because I'll probably never pay. I'll probably never play or pay this because I'm not gonna get around to being able to even get this thing started. But I would have given you $5 to know I have the license for later. Shit's aggravating.
So
I guess what
yeah.
I was getting to, what you were talking about with these price points, they did not get the subscriber base or the catalog that they wanted at that lower tier. Remember when it was all a big bid on Twitter and stuff like, did you know that you could pay $2 a month and start up 90 days of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and have access? Remember that whole bid of like having access to
over 100 games, blah blah blah.
So
and also new releases.
They weren't successful with that extreme value proposition. Where are they going with this standard and ultimate tier now? With less of a catalog. We still haven't seen anything from them saying outside. We're all excited for Indiana Jones, right? What else is there? What else are we gung-ho for? I still want to play Halo online every 3 months when I fire it up.
I mean, since I have Game Pass, I probably will be playing Black Ops 6 campaign on Game Pass. I don't know if I'll be playing multiplayer. The option's there for me because I'll still probably be Warzoning with you guys, but I'm probably more inclined to play that there versus paying $70 for a campaign that's been very meddlesome for like the last 2 years, right? It hasn't. I mean, it's been a minute since I played a good Call of Duty campaign. So, like, do I want to take a chance and pay $80? Because I enjoyed Vanguard. People shit on it. I thought Vanguard was pretty good, but that was probably the last Call of Duty campaign that I enjoyed in this generation. So,
is gaming not for us anymore? Like modern gaming.
It's multiplayer based,
man.
Not
for us. But we play a lot of multiplayer games, and I feel like we still get thwarted on that.
I don't know, man. If you were like, fuck this podcast, let's start playing Warzone now, right now. Jump on there right now. I mean,
or Helldivers. We love us some Helldivers.
Yeah.
We'll play. That's going to come up in our games of the year list, I'm sure.
If we had an easy fucking way to communicate, I'll be playing Splatoon 3 with you guys right now. So that's the only thing that holds me back. That's the only thing that holds me back.
Absolute same.
If there was a way to communicate during Splatoon 3, outside of using my fucking phone, I will be playing with you guys like way more often than that.
You talk about the rotation, like if Concord was free to play, we would throw that in the rotation and get a couple rounds and then pivot to something else. If Splatoon was one of those that we could easily talk back and forth, that would absolutely be in the rotation.
Yep.
We had so much fun with that at the time.
That's the only thing that kills me, and I hope they fix that with the next Nintendo console. I hope they fix that because that sucks. I mean, that's like a standard now, right? That's like fucking standard the last 2 gens. It's crazy.
It's
crazy that
was co-op doubles in a tennis game 20 years ago. Yeah. I'm not letting that die. Oh boy.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that either. Yeah.
Where is this? Yeah, where does the rest of this article go? It's almost.
So I think it says on there what was it, Brand? You can.
The entry level is $10. There is a $10 tier.
So I think that they retired something, right? It's replacing the now retired Game Pass for console tier. The standard plan is now available for $14.99. Yeah, so I think that's the only difference. So, which is remember that's like you said, Richards, when they had it separate, like you had PC Game Pass and console Game Pass. So now everything's together, right? You just get it all together. So.
Everything's a cycle. I think everything moves.
So to answer your question, that's the only thing that really changes. That only really changes for us is that. That's that. Now we have more options. I mean, you have an option. You can pay $14.99 a month and get some latest hits from indie developers, but no day one Game Pass games from the Xbox Game Studios. Those will just come at a later date, which haven't been decided yet. So if it's 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months, who knows? So. And
they're going right back to that original model, right? Except until when they had to pivot from PlayStation Plus started giving free games and such, they had to pivot into that model essentially. And Games with Gold we joked about it for 2 years before they pulled the plug on that program. It was so bad.
Yeah.
They really just farted that out towards the end of it. Remember, they're like, because we're looking at like, why keep doing
because
this?
At the time, Game Pass was the compelling argument, the counter argument, and it's not there now.
Yeah, I mean, because you were trying to give options for everybody. There's like not everybody wanted Game Pass for online service, so it's like, we don't want to lose your business, so we'll give you Xbox Live because they only want to pay $60 for online services. You know what I mean? It sucks that we're paying all this money for online services on console, and we can jump on a PC and pay nothing. So
So I was listening, as kind of a sidebar. Y'all know I love that podcast, My Perfect Console. His guest this week is the first president of Sony Computer Entertainment Europe. So I forget the guy's name. It's Paul something. He was a graduate of Boston University. So he's got a Boston accent and stuff. But he had business relationships in Europe before the PlayStation launch. So they were trying to give him PlayStation of America. And he's like, no, I want to keep these European relationships. So they did. So the podcast is very, very interesting. He talks about that Mickey's Adventure, that game we didn't get here, the David Jaffe Mickey game. It ended up being like this 5 million seller in Europe. It was a huge like system seller, even though that same very similar game bombed on cartridges on Sega and Nintendo. But it was Sega. It was Mickey Mania, I think, on the other consoles, and then it was like Mickey Mania Adventure or something like that. And it was this gangbusters sales in the European market. But so he came in after the PS1 launched in Europe, and then he helped launch the PS2, and he was one of the first ones to be letting like the Ken Kutaragis and the Phil Harrisons know, like, hey, we're going up against Microsoft this next round. They make millions and millions and millions of dollars on licenses of Windows, and they can fuck around with this as long as they want. This is not a Sega that we're up against. This is before like launching into the PS2, right? So the Xbox is looming. He's like, this is a whole nother animal. And for a company that has been built on those level of subscriptions and membership, and just when you think Microsoft, I know Xbox is a whole nother beast, but it still operates under the same umbrella, right? How are they struggling with this? This is their niche. And these tiers are not only... we talked about the PlayStation tiers being so confusing, and what is the value proposition for those? I think we ended up defining those a little bit better between premium, extra, and essential. Is that the bottom PlayStation one?
Yeah, I can't
Yep.
But
ever remember half the time, but yeah, I think that's it.
This roller coaster ride of acquisition of studios and development of games, and where's the library? Okay, here's the back catalog. Here, we're going to bring forward backwards compatibility. We're going to enhance all these games for this 1X, and we're going to come out with these. And remember how we lapped up those games when they were 1X enhanced, and we would run out and see if we could get a physical copy from GameStop, because we knew if we popped that disc in, it would download the license on there. And then they announced like, hey, we're going to focus on these series consoles. We're not going to do any more backwards compatible stuff for a while, and just totally pulled the plug on that. And they were elite at doing that. That is the best way to play still, like Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon and some of the Splinter Cell games. And remember Morrowind got this boost from like haphazard original Xbox game to playing perfectly on 1X, Series X, Series S, and stuff like that. I don't know how they have managed to bungle these tiers of this subscription and for you to not know what you're getting. When is that Indiana Jones game coming to that middle tier? Why would you do that middle tier instead of the bottom one? Is it consumer choice, or is it you not knowing what you're offering to the consumer and you're hoping to confuse people? That's the part I just don't understand. If I were... retail now is totally different from with the online sales and games as a service games. And that's why the experience is so different when we go in a store and we don't like it. They suck. If they don't have that one thing that we're coming for, that it came out that one day, there's no advantage to going into any of those stores. I will randomly look, like, Cesar, when you and I were shopping for Topspin, I was like, okay, what does GameStop used have it for? All right, that's a decent price. Where's the closest one? None available within 15 miles. Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
That's expected. Let me make it 30. None available within 30 miles. Okay, that's kind of weird, because this is a game that came out this year. Should be able to get a used copy. I would know back in the day, there would be at least 3 to 5 copies of any Topspin at any store at any given time. Let me make that 100 miles. No stores available within 100 miles with this. Like, where does this stuff go? How does this even work anymore? I'm done with my rant. This is my old man yelling at this guy. Things aren't the way they used to be. I wish they were the way they used to be.
I think we're all there with you there.
I don't know what these answers are. I don't know what the retail space is. I don't know what these subscription space are. And how is Nintendo the good guy in this, except for the voice chat? How do you not have voice chat figured out? Like nobody has the right. Nobody has the right avenue at all. They all have bits and pieces of the right stuff.
That's the only like knock against them, right? It's like their online service is still kind of meddlesome, and then some people bitch about like a achievement system, but I don't really care about that. I
feel like that wave has passed. It's fun sometimes, but that's not needed either.
Yeah, I don't. I think they had the right idea. I don't think it's like I mean, you leave it up to the developer, right? They put that in game. You don't have to have like a whole thing on there. Some people still kind of whine about that, but I think for me personally, as a gamer with Nintendo, it's that aspect that I miss. I mean, it's more easier for me to game with you guys. I would probably play more Smash Brothers. I'd probably play more Mario Kart with you guys if we had to sit there. We can go in there and talk, because how much time do I play that shit? Unless we meet up in person, that's the only way to do it, because we're meeting up in person. So we can fucking talk as we play, right? That's the only reason why we're doing it.
Absolutely.
I don't have to open up a Discord app. I don't have to open up a dedicated Nintendo app. I was like, holy shit, just put the fucking app on.
And it's only for certain games, right? In the Discord integration was like only 4 or 5 games, like Splatoon 2.
And it's ridiculous because I could plug in a headset with a microphone on a Switch console and play Fortnite, and it works. It just fucking works. So why is that not pushed out?
The infrastructure's there. Yeah.
Why is that not pushed out to first party games? It doesn't make any sense to me. It does not make sense. You have an accessory that is no longer sold for that whole device to sit here and make a convoluted headphone splitter.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
You can't even push it out to a normal headset. Just like, all right, we're giving up on this accessory because I guess that's what you wanted to take off. But everybody has a cell phone. Why do we have to do it? Everybody has a cell phone. That's like,
and they made great strides. We moaned about like the Nintendo Switch Online stuff. Like this isn't a virtual console. They have a ton of shit on there. Everything we've really wanted for a bunch of those platforms is there. You just update the app and it's ready to go. And we have the family plan, which is also a huge benefit.
I hope to God that the next Nintendo console, that's all I ask for. I don't need anything else when it comes to like quality of life updates.
Yeah.
Outside of just the ability to chat during gameplay.
That will be
I'm hoping
humongous.
I'm hoping that. I mean, shit, you can do that on a Steam Deck, right?
Yeah.
I can chat and play with you guys through a fucking multiplayer game on Steam Deck. It's like
you could do it on the original Xbox.
Not a foreign idea.
The original Xbox.
Yeah.
That had co-op online doubles in their tennis game.
You could do it on a PS2, right?
Yeah.
Like
SOCOM.
It works.
And that was free. That was free online.
Yeah.
All right, y'all gear up on this new one, and we'll return extremely shortly.
So our last story of the night is the brand new PS5 Pro that was showed and announced in a press conference today. The first part of this was an update where they...
Brand, I watched none of this. Did you watch any of it?
I watched a little bit of it, and then had other pressing things that I had to do throughout the day. So,
were you like me? We're like,
yeah. I started watching it, and I'm like, I kind of saw what they were talking about. I'm like, okay, this is kind of what I thought it was going to be. So
I knew, and I don't want to derail you because you're summarizing it, but I knew instantly that I did not care to watch this because I knew this was going to happen. I knew they were going to like a technical preview, show absolutely nothing that utilizes it, and just say, hey, it's there for you if you want. But we know how consumers are when it comes to Sony products. This first wave is going to sell out, and we're just going to like show you how to use it next year. When our real games comes out. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm sorry, Brian. Continue.
No. You're
Continue.
You are good, sir. So they the top of this article is from PlayStation Blog. They told us how you can pre-order starting September 26th. The pre-orders will be available from the PlayStation Direct, and then from other select retailers starting October 10th. So basically, yes, today was kind of a overview, kind of a tech breakdown where Mark Cerny went over this brand new piece of hardware.
And it was interesting because he talked about the state of gaming now, right?
Yeah.
Frames per second, fidelity, even though in his own usual calm voice that kind of lulls you to sleep if you left it on for an extra 30 more
I
minutes.
did not watch this,
But
so I'm getting these takes. I mean, I read the blog post, but I'm getting a bunch of these
I
takes
read
from
I
you
didn't watch it
guys.
at all either.
Yeah.
I kind of just looked at the video and kind of skimmed through it real quickly just to
Yeah.
see what it listened to the interesting parts. But
So of course they, talked about how they were listening to the players, and the majority of things that people wanted were high fidelity graphics, smoother frame rates at 60 frames per second. Because even still now, with the PS5, we started kind of getting 60 frames, and then it quickly dropped to like, oh well, this game's going to have ray tracing, it's going to have this and that, but it's also only going to be 30 frames a
having
second.
to choose between those options.
And yes, so they said, with this new piece of hardware, we're going to achieve that. The three main features that Mark broke it down into is an updated GPU, which has 67% more compute units than the current PS5.
That's a big increase.
28% faster memory. Overall, enables up to 45% faster rendering of gameplay, making the experience much smoother. Advanced ray tracing. So this just enhances the in-time reflections in the game. For instance, I know one of the games that they're talking about is the Gran Turismo 7, where I know it had ray tracings only during playback.
Yeah.
When you're watching the playback of your race, but now it will actually have in-game ray tracing, and then AI driven upscaling.
Is that the main kicker in this thing? Are we getting all the increased tech stuff for AI overhead, kind of like the new iPhones that were announced?
And it's just an advanced form of checkerboarding. That's all it is. It's all you're doing is that you're getting a more closer image of 4K, but it's truly probably 1080p.
Yeah.
So without having to go to full 4K, right? So I think that's I mentioned this before in this podcast. I was like, you're not going to get a frames per second increase without increasing the CPU, which has not been done. So they're going to drive the GPU to kind of increase meddle the resolution to allow the CPU to handle more of the load for the frames per second. So you had to get, I think the CPU is going to be more dedicated to pushing that to 60 frames or higher, and then you have that AI upscaling kind of help with the graphics part, so you can get the best of both worlds. Now you're always going to have somebody like, well, it's not true data 4K, you know what I mean, or true 8K,
right?
Because this thing says it's going to do 8K as well.
This is a compressed asset.
Yeah, it's like some people are going to be able to look at it and like, and some people it's not going to matter. Like to me at this point, I don't think it matters to me. I'm not looking at the screen closely enough to like, that petal on that flower looks fake. I'm like, I'm over here trying to play the game. I don't have time to sit.
And that's the thing is, most people, when given the option, like now we have the performance or fidelity modes, most people are gonna choose performance. We'd rather have a stable frame rate than the game have slightly more pixels or be, less, get that less smeared effect or whatever.
I never could tell. I'm way more frame rate sensitive than I am resolution sensitive. And
definitely.
When they would say like the PS4 Pro, spoilers, I feel like was more of an upgrade than this is. But when Digital Foundry would do their breakdown and talk about checkerboard rendering, I would get up and look at it and I'm like, I cannot tell. I don't know that this isn't a true 4K. Like this looks like the checkerboarding seemed like you had the right compromise when you did that sort of stuff.
And they're experts on that. They look at that all the time, so they could probably tell by the eye. But a lot of that stuff they put under like frame pacing, and they have to put it under some scope. It's like, okay,
with their pixel counts and all that stuff.
This is where it look kind of weird, because they'll kind of enhance how it doesn't run smoothly. So.
And then how long until like it seems like when one of these things comes out, right? Whether it be a new console or these mid steps. They get outpaced at a certain point and they're not enough. Like, how long is this going to be the new hotness until it's not enough? Is it already there? Because, like, Is it Gran Turismo that has like 3 different resolution modes, or why is this not doing everything? Why do we not get 4K ray tracing, 120 frames per second? Why is that not a selection? Why is it a compromise still across the different modes? Like we're still picking.
The box that we all have says 8K on the
It does
on the damn box.
There's one behind me.
Original PlayStation, and
there's only one game that's 8K. It was The Tourist. But who has a fucking 8K TV to run it?
Who can tell the difference between an 8K TV and a 4K TV?
There's not even 8K, like an 8K
content.
Blu-ray. There's not even
content.
8K feed.
You're not watching anything off of DirecTV or Disney Plus that is going to be in an 8K quality in any capacity.
So you're literally going to blow money on a console that is capable of doing 8K, but no guarantee that the game itself is going to be in 8K. You know what I mean? It's
okay.
Mind-boggling.
All right, we're going down this road. Is this a marketing gimmick? Is this all a marketing gimmick? And if so, who or what is this for?
I don't know. So we'll just keep getting through the rest of this.
All right, let's work our way through.
We can do our deep dive. They did a lot of side-by-side comparisons. They also talked about other enhancements, including Game Boost, which will be applied to more than 8,500 backwards compatible PS4 games, which Cesar was talking about being excited for. I know they did say that later, after this was announced, Mark Cerny came out and said something about the boost to PSVR 2 games as well.
That would be big.
Performance-wise.
That was a big deal for the PS4 Pro in that you got a significant boost on PlayStation VR playback and compatibility. Not compatibility, but, you know, fidelity and rendering.
Yeah. They announced a bunch of games that would already support these features on the new PS5 Pro, including Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Demon's Souls, Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Gran Turismo 7, Hogwarts Legacy, Horizon Forbidden West, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, The Crew Motorfest, The First Descent, Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and more. Let me see if there was anything. It looks like the same list. I'm just making sure. I'm guessing the and more is yet to be announced.
Mm-hmm.
Demon's Souls, a launch title. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What could you do with that one? I think that one was a consistent 60 frames per second, right? Like, what is the trade-off here? I
don't know that's why I said they're shown nothing outside of just talk about what this can do, right? I mean, it's the same. They did the same thing with the Pro, right? When the PS4 Pro came out, they just kind of like, hey, you could do this. But when I was left behind, I was interested because of 4K, so I was already kind of one foot in the door because of that.
But it noticeably ran games better. It was
right
obvious.
after they started giving it out. After they started giving out the press, right?
Yeah.
I mean, guess when we started seeing, they didn't show it in that presentation from Cerny in his Iowa. So it's like the same thing. He just talked about that, like why their reason, like their thesis, like this is why we're doing what we're doing. This is, people always ask, do we need this? This is why we're doing what we're doing. But it's like what Brandt's saying. All these games they listed, they never showed any of these games. Like, I mean, it's going to be one of those things you got to see for yourself. But there's nothing on there that's going to venture for me to drop $700.
Which
I'm interested in those PS4 games more than anything else.
Yeah.
Like, all right. What were those PS4 games? Will it let me run at some of those games that are 60 frames per second, like Last Guardian, that you fucking locked out with a patch?
Yeah. But
will it undo?
You've already been offered that PS4 upgrade twice already, right? So that becomes even less. I'm curious, like you are, just from a tech standpoint. How does this work? But you've already potentially had that upgrade twice. When does it get to be? I don't know if diminishing returns is the right phrase, but when does that get to be like, okay, what is the way I'm actually supposed to play this? When does it get to a point where,
I mean,
you had 60 frames per second, you had,
it's a guarantee for more stable 60 frames per second, right? That's their big push.
Pretty much.
It's a middle ground, like, hey, you get the best graphics, but at the best frame rate. So, but I mean, have we encountered anything in this hardware generation which, as Richard has mentioned, we saw it on the Xbox One.
We did.
That
Clear
some of the
and
stuff
obvious.
is like 2 or 3 years into the console life, like, all right, we're starting to struggle, and we're not even 5 years yet. You know what I mean? I mean, what have we seen outside of maybe some weird fuzzy graphics on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? But did that diminish your play experience at all, Brant? You know what I mean?
No.
Outside of something
After
bitched about it being fuzzy.
I'm about to say that first little bit, it was a little rough, and then about that first week that it came out, they put out a patch, and it took away that blur to it, and it was fine.
Yeah, it's playable, right?
Yeah,
you had no issues, right? It wasn't like distracting where you're like, God, I can't. This is unlookable.
No.
So, and it's like, supposedly they showed an image from Rebirth, and it looks amazing, and luckily for me, I haven't finished Rebirth, so I can go through it if I ever decided to get this device. But I mean, is it enough for Brant to sit there and spend $700 to go through Rebirth again? I mean, because they got so many games coming out that's gonna be PS5 Pro compatible, day one. You know.
I don't think I've had the option of performance and graphics on just about every game this generation, right? And this goes for Xbox too. I don't think I've seen anything on either console where I was like, ooh, this is not keeping up. This is not up to snuff with what I expected from my investment in these next gen consoles, current gen consoles.
And that's why I said this time I think Microsoft is very smart. Xbox is very smart. Do not come out with a Pro. Just work on your next gen and your rumored handheld.
Yeah.
It's not beneficial to come out with a Pro. At this point, you might as well just come out with the next gen, right? That's at this point. It doesn't make sense anymore. So I think they're very smart.
Or another way to get into that ecosystem, like a handheld, a dedicated handheld or some sort of device like that.
Which is hot right now.
Yeah. The handhelds are going gangbusters. This is a very kind of odd half measure.
It seems so niche. This doesn't seem like a
We've pretty much covered everything in the article. The biggest thing is that it officially launches November 7th. And then, of course, like we've alluded to, it's $699 US. So that's $700. And then, of course, when they show it
$699 US dollars.
When they show it on the graphic there, they have it on the little stand. And, of course, stand sold separately. They only feasibly have one SKU of this, which is just the standard kind of like slim digital model. It doesn't look like there's a disc version. So it will be just $700. If you want the stand, that's an extra $30.
Yep.
And then if you say you have the original PlayStation or you have that slim and you're like, oh, I kind of want to upgrade, but you've had the physical version. Well, now you've got to spend $80 on a disk drive, and if you want it to stand up, you got to spend an extra $30 to stand it up. So you're talking an $800 upgrade.
Yeah.
Which for what they are pushing, the comparisons are going to have to be pretty damn good.
Are we coming at this from we already have PS5 standpoint? So that's brought up a use case.
Possibly.
Maybe before you jumped on, Brant, but he was talking about a coworker that does not have a PS5 yet. And so this is an immediate, like, yes, I will have the best PS5 they make. I will get in that ecosystem now. They're going to sell a shit ton week one, but how many of those are going on secondhand market?
That console's gonna be like the Portal, right? It's gonna sell out probably this holiday season. I don't think it's gonna be like after January. It's probably gonna be like normal stock, right? It's gonna be like it's there, because I mean they've mentioned. I think it might have been Matt Pescatella. Somebody mentioned that if you look at our Daniel Mid, where they mentioned like, all right, the PS4 Pro was only sold for 20% of the PS4 sold. That's it, 20%.
Yeah,
that's just the PS4 Pro.
1 in 5.
I don't even think it's going to get hit this high in this generation. My guess would probably be 10%. It's probably not going to get past 10%. So I think they know what they're getting into. I don't think they're going to make too many of these things. You know what I mean? It doesn't. I think this is more of the people who want. It's more of, like you said, it's a niche model, kind of like the One X was. I want the best of the best. They're just taking the Microsoft method.
Yeah.
It plays best on this. You know,
the most powerful console, because now they can say the most powerful console ever created, right? It's that Scorpio one-upping type thing.
That's all they're doing it for. It's just like a notch in the belt So it's like I don't see it selling more than 10% of the life of the console. I don't think it's going to get past 10% of PS5 sold. So
Do they, in an era where people will buy, people buy a new phone every year, they'll spend the $1,000 to, or $799, $899, $999 are usually like the tiers. Are they
Yeah.
going to look at that and be like, well, I get an iPhone Pro, I don't get the standard iPhone. Could I spend the $200 more and get the Pro version versus does it come down to that sort of, you know?
Yeah, like I said, my coworker I mentioned is going to get that version, but I mean, you have other people like, do I pay the extra $200? There's nothing really on there now. Like, or do I foresee? I mean, your whole sell is that you're hoping that when Gran Turismo, Gran Turismo, when GTA 6 comes out,
Yeah.
so the rumors are going around. This is the best place to play it, but there's no confirmation. You know what I mean? At that point, people are just going to keep waiting longer. Like, I'm not going to jump on this, and it's just going to play like a regular PS5 game, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what did I buy this for? Because you're just going based off like hearsay, right? We don't have no idea if it's going to play better on this. Who knows when the fuck GTA 6 is going to come out? Is it coming out next year? Is it coming out the year after that? Who knows? So by the time it comes out, we might be already have new hardware. You know what I mean? The
Right.
next generation hardware.
Right.
So it's like there's a lot of unknown. At this
Well,
point,
let's be real. GTA, it's supposed to be 2025, but
Yeah.
look how long GTA 5, how long ago it came out, and how many times they re-released it. I mean,
And do you have a much better experience playing GTA 5 on PS5, that port, than you do the PS3 one with half a gig of RAM? Is it that much better of an experience? I played more of that version, but
yeah,
I think what's crazy is I think I beat. I want to say I beat. There's so many generations of GTA 5, but I want to say the one I beat was the PS3 one. I don't think I beat on PS4 or PS5.
and we were there. We
I
were
gotta
in
look
the
at my-
theater when they announced the PS4 port. Remember
Yeah.
that? It was like 6 months later, and that theater went fucking insane about a PS4
I am
native port
90%
of GTA 5.
I am 90% certain that I've only completed the story on that on PS3. I've started the game so many times on PS4 and PS5, and I just like, I already beaten this. And it's a
I
good
played
game.
most
Don't
of
get
it
me
on
wrong, the story
PS5
mode's
because it
pretty
played
good.
so well with the DualSense. The DualSense integration was phenomenal.
I think me and Brant, or one of us here, me and somebody else owns a copy of it on PC. So I don't know if it's Brant. I don't know if it's you, Brant, or if it was you, Richard.
I
got.
own it on Steam, I believe.
Yeah, on Steam.
I don't know if I have it on Steam. I got the Liberty City Stories and not Liberty City Stories. What did they call that one?
Oh, the OG games before they
The
delisted them.
GTA 4 like combo collection, the one that you sold me on when you played it
Oh.
on Steam Deck.
The Liberty City,
Yeah.
or like whatever the
It was like
GTA 4. It's just GTA 4.
yeah, episodes from Liberty City maybe. It was the one with
City.
Ballad of Gay Tony and whatever that other expansion was together.
For
Yeah,
Yeah.
something of the
4.
damned. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, because you said it played so well on Steam Deck. I was like, man, I gotta get this thing.
It worked on Steam Deck. I don't know, man. We could sit here and I guess talk about it forever, but at this point, for me as a consumer, I'm in the maybe pile. I still don't see myself getting one over, even if to me, I'm curious about the performance of the older games. Is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Because I still have a lot of PS4 games I have not played that I still want to fire up. And if it's like an easy, simple, like, oh, it's instantly boosted, not select games, you know what I mean? If it does my whole library of games at some point, it makes it, run even better, I'm interested. I need the dollar value to equate to something like that list of 10 games that Brant read out. Those are great, but I'm not going to sit there and buy a whole new console for those 10 games. You know what I mean? A lot of those games I've already beaten and played before,
And did you have any complaints with the performance? Like, were you playing these games thinking, I'm not getting the full experience here?
And I think I told you, and no, not to call you out, Richard, but I said for you, I mean, you play most of your shit on the remote play, so it's like you're not going to get the full performance out of that anyway. So if you're remoted into a console, it's like you can get the cheapest version and it's going to get the job done right at that point.
I get an upgrade when I come down here and play natively on the OLED. It's like, oh, this is how this could look. But I traded the convenience factor for being able to be porta-potty. Brand's porta potty. Porta potty.
To be able to play on a porta potty.
I could, because it's portable on the porta potty. PlayStation porta potty. We got there.
I don't know, guys. I don't know if I'm day one. I know you guys are probably in the same boat as me. I don't. But I guess it's not. I don't think it's marketed.
I want to see something. I'm not pulling against it, and I get I mean, there's a reason phones come out for all different versions, right? There's a reason there's a MacBook Air, a MacBook Pro, an iMac. Like I like choice for the consumer. I want these multitudes of options, but for all these rumors and anybody who keeps up with games day in and day out like we do, and we all have different display types. We want to see how games look. We want to see how things perform. This just hasn't seemed to fit a specific niche.
I was more excited about the PS4 Pro because I had a 4K TV at the time, and I was interested in the boosted mode for the PS4 games, right? Because we started to see some performance hits.
Yep.
2 or 3 years into this console life cycle. I don't see it that often on here. Yeah, there's some games that are locked at 30 frames per second, but nothing that I sat here and say this game is unplayable, like Dishonored on PS3. There's nothing on there has got me to that generation yet.
Dishonored on PS3. The example that lives forever.
Damn.
Or like the bastard versions we were getting, like remember Shadow of Mordor on PS3 was like a totally different version. It just wasn't even the same.
Without the Nemesis system, remember? Because they couldn't handle the Nemesis system.
Yeah, they couldn't even pull that off on PS3.
Yeah. The whole different game is like those weird PS2 ports we used to get back in the day, remember? Like, oh, here's a PS2 version of Call of Duty Big Red 1. It's not as good as the PC one, but it's Call of Duty. So, and
it's not a big storage upgrade. Like in that same generation, the Xbox went from DVD ROMs to Blu-ray ROMs. So Wolfenstein: The New Order shipped on 360 on 4 DVDs for a first-person shooter, and 1 Blu-ray ROM for PS3, PS4, or Xbox One. So it's not even that sort of an upgrade. 2 terabyte storage, but I think we've all upgraded our internal storage at this point, so we don't have to clean out the fridge as often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these bigger,
enough to carry.
I'm assuming these PS5 Pro native patches are gonna be larger storage, right?
Most likely.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, man. I don't know. None of these free-to-play games that are popular with everybody, none of these are part of the upgrades, right? So, which is weird to me. No Warzone, no Fortnite, nothing's taking advantage of the system. So,
are those going to come later, you think, or is there any advantage to them saying that? I mean, as a partner, I would want to have the best version of that on this platform to also help that
helps your case, right? Doesn't mean you'll sell more.
Yeah.
Doesn't help, but it helps your case.
Has anybody noticed anything with there's no performance with Warzone? It's like we're finally there where everything you throw at and we're also in a generation that I feel like, I mean, what are generations anymore? But you can also, like, Brand is very much looking forward to Silksong, right? Silksong is not a demanding game. That's not going to be pushing a PS4, much less a standard PS5. You just, one of these anticipated games that people are clamoring for, they don't need this overhead.
I don't know, man. The only console that needs a refresh is a Switch. That's it. That's the only thing.
That's your blatant need.
Yeah.
Extreme need.
And then if the rumors are true, we should be getting some kind of announcement for the console this month, supposedly. So we'll see what happens.
And I mean, if Astrobot is any indication, it's what did I see? It sold within its first week here more copies.
I haven't seen numbers yet.
Let me.
It's doing really well.
Let me not misquote this because it was right here.
Please let it be doing well. Brent's like,
oh yeah, It's
50,000 US copies.
No, it's.
Thank you, Andrew.
It's selling extremely well.
Yes. Need to hear that.
Oh gosh, let me try and find it. Okay, Astrobot reportedly sold more physical copies in the UK in 2 days. Than Concord sold worldwide.
Oh, don't put the metric up against Concord. No. No. Hey, Brant, I have 2 copies of Concord and I have 1 copy of Astrobot.
I know.
That's the other metric.
But it is it's selling extremely well. People are the reviews for the game are overwhelmingly positive. Okay. People are showing nothing but mostly love. You did share that one very shitty take that somebody had from Twitter to us the other day.
Oh, last week?
Yeah. But and it seems that people are going, look, this game is not by any stretch of the imagination what could be considered by the industry standard as a AAA title. But it is
Oh yeah,
a
that
fun
argument.
it is
Yeah.
it's a fun game. It's memorable. It's lighthearted. It only took 3 years in development.
Team of
So
65 until the very end,
yeah.
and then they added
So
on.
yeah, the cost wasn't super ballooned and all this. So it's like, why can't we have more things like this? Why is the industry so focused on those AAA games that are they're pouring millions and millions and millions into, and then
Hell,
when they get quote unquote poor
Mhm.
sales or poor reviews, and we see that they sold 1 million within however many months, and they're like, well, it just didn't perform like we wanted to, and now we're having to lay off people, and everybody's looking around like, well, why? What happened?
It's like that. Was it that Eric Andre meme where like he shoots a guy and be like, "What would Sony do this?"
Yeah, why would Sony do this? Exactly.
And Concord, unfortunately, is the juxtaposition of those two approaches, like within a week of each other, right?
This is the way, right? This is what you do. You make sure Astrobot sells, right? You show these corporations like, hey, we don't have to invest all this money on to produce a hit. So I think the problem is I feel like, no disrespect to the current co-CEOs on here, Jim Ryan beforehand. I just feel like ever since Sean Layden left, it just, that gaming aspect, enthusiasm kind of went the wayside, and they just went like, all right, we're just all about returning profits. So it's like, I think you do, and I understand that. I think that was the one aspect that Sean Layden was missing. You have to kind of be that perfect balance, so where you have to be a gaming enthusiast, try to bring back stuff, but you got to understand, like, all right, I know I got to make money for shareholders, right? That was the only thing he probably lacked a little bit of, even though he did well in that PS4 generation.
Right.
But it's like, how corporations are, this greed, right? They want more. So it's like, oh, we probably could have made more if they were more business focused. That's what they're looking at. So it's like that weird lost in translation type stuff when you're a corporation and your other side businesses in that Sony Corporation are not doing as well as it used to be. I mean, you sell off computer bit,
no more Vios, no more Bravias.
You sunset some of the Ericsson stuff. I mean, you still make a good quality phone, but not as much as you made. And you don't make as many cameras as you sell. You don't sell as many camcorders. A lot of stuff is being done on smartphones, but you're not the number one smartphone maker. So it's like, which you should have.
You're
owned.
getting components of that. Like you have a deal with Foxconn to put camera lenses in iPhones and Samsungs.
Yeah, I mean, shit, you're using Samsung to put screens and stuff. So it's like you're paying your competitor to get there because you don't do it yourself anymore. So it's like, like I said, this is the only problem thing about being a public company, man. You see stuff like this happen. I mean, look at the Xbox. So you losing their identity. They're losing their identity a little bit because of Microsoft. So it's like,
it's a tricky industry. The PS5 is a more successful console than the Sega Dreamcast. Which one would you argue has a better library if you just take strictly what that console has provided over its lifetime?
I don't know. The Dreamcast has a better library. I still think
it wasn't successful. They only sold 10 million of those.
I don't think nothing's gonna beat the PS2 or PS4 library.
No.
So I think those are probably the closest to each other. Those even number consoles were top tier.
Yeah. PS1 could be in that argument. I think PS3 could be in that argument.
I would say PS3 would have been higher if a lot of those didn't move over to PS4. So I'm like. I think PS1 will be a close second.
So that's why I'm looking over your shoulder. GameCube library is full of some must-play titles. That was a failure.
Yeah,
the console was a failure with tons of exclusive, phenomenal games and experiences that you can't get anywhere else. This same podcast I'm listening to with the Sony Computer Europe, one of his top 5 games is iToy. Remember the experimental stuff like a generation where we would get iToy and Dance Dance Revolution mats and Donkey Konga bongos and the Odama
which is the biggest
microphone.
Thing.
What's that?
Yeah, we had Guitar Hero, which was the biggest thing when it first
SingStar.
came out. Yeah.
SingStar was a European phenomenon. SingStar was
People love
huge
karaoke,
over there.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you just come out with content packs for the old man yelling at this guy. And what are our peripherals now? It's just VR. We've had VR the past 2 generations.
And that's died out
Dying.
immensely quickly. Yeah. Sony don't make games for VR anymore, right? Even though they said on this PS5 Pro is going to have the increased resolution.
What is that for? The
It's going to be compatible
CR2 Smash that everybody loves?
It's going to be, they said it's going to be compatible for VR2, but for what games? You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's going to be a better way for me and Brant to play Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 8. That's it.
Dedicated Resident Evil VR machine.
Sure. That's if Brant ever buys a Pro. So
I wanted to dip back. I didn't touch on this earlier. Was Helldivers a small team? Helldivers 2, is that a small developer? A smaller studio at least, like Arrowhead?
I think so. I think in scope, those were AA studios, kind of like Astrobot. I think those are in scope AA studios. I think the problem is how long it took to cook that stuff. Is what makes those budgets go a little bit.
So Helldivers 2 took longer than.
I think they were I think it was similar to Concord. It was like 8 years or something like that. It was been cooking for a while.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right.
I can't remember. I got to look at the article again. It's been multiple.
It wasn't
years.
It wasn't one of these like 2 to 3 year experiences. That I want to get back to that, man. Like a Jack every year, a Sly every year, a Ratchet every year. Think of how spoiled that just those 3 franchises we were when they came out every single year. Or we got 3 Uncharted games in one generation. How many do we have for PS5?
Yeah.
How many Uncharted games do we have for PS5?
The smaller games were good, right? Because I mean, you took a blueprint for like Sly, and like you said, you had Sly, and then you had a sequel like what year and a half later because you took that original footprint and you expand upon it. You fixed the mistakes you had on there. You expanded on some storytelling, right? You made some changes. Just keep the core gameplay, change the story, and it was fine. So
okay. That's the PS5 Pro.
It's a hard sell. Look, man, it's a hard sell this generation when we have somebody copy paste Call of Duty every year, and that's always seems to sell less and less every year outside of their own Warzone that seems to cannibalize that whole environment for them. So
is Warzone their big money maker now?
I don't know.
I spent more money on Warzone than I have any Call of Duty games.
I feel more people play Warzone right now than they play, Modern Warfare 3. I mean, that may have changed when that came on Game Pass, but like multiplayer.
I wonder what those numbers are. Yeah.
Because I heard Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer was really, really good.
We're not playing it. We're not playing it every Saturday night on stream.
Nobody was in here that's willing to spend $70, right?
I haven't played it since it's been on Game Pass.
Yeah. I think I've downloaded so it can stop bitching at me about buying the campaign. So I was like, all right, whatever. I download your campaign. Stop yelling at me about it. And I don't think I've ever fired up the Modern Warfare 3 campaign at all. So I was like,
nope. All right. Was there anything else in this PS5 Pro story? We know all the dates. We know all the pre-orders.
So we rambled, but we're not going to know until it comes out, until they actually show shit. So at this point, for me, it's wait and see. So
let's see
what happens.
We recorded a couple days ago, and I have nothing new to add to games played. I have not touched a single thing. You can hear my initial impressions on Astrobot on last week's show, and there's an hour on Twitch still. I played the first hour of Astrobot on Twitch, and that is what remains on there.
I think we played like an hour and a half or so, almost 2 hours of Warzone after that podcast on Friday, and that was probably the only thing we played together that weekend, right? That was it.
Yeah, I think I fell asleep Saturday. I don't think any of us got together on Saturday.
I mean, I know we've been here for how long? I can.
It's a little after 10.
Yeah, an hour. Yeah,
we're good.
So I'll quickly here. I played a little bit more Astrobot. I'm almost done. I'm in the final galaxy.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah, just a little bit
final
more.
galaxy.
I mean, it's addictive, man. It's pretty good, man. It definitely has that Mario-esque platformer where there's a lot of variety in there and some difficulty and some moments in here like that's bullshit, and some of these hidden galaxy worlds that are kind of like the Star World type stuff, which are uber difficult, where I'm sitting there for 30 minutes, trial and error, trying to figure out how to speed run a level to complete it. So it does a very good balance in there, but I've almost gotten everything. Almost got every puzzle piece, every bot unlocked. I think the biggest surprise that I think is very exciting that I think you guys will enjoy, and I don't want to go too much detail about it, is that each galaxy you beat, there's like a dedication world, and you might have heard about it. So like in the first one with the
Hmm.
Galaxy Kong, like I like to call him Galaxy Kong, there's a Ape Escape world because they'll put you on a planet that's like Ape Escape and it plays like fucking Ape Escape. You get the net, you're going around catching monkeys. It's like if you wanted to Ape Escape in the year of our Lord
That's
2024,
awesome.
it's a fucking Ape Escape game, all true and true. Like you're going in and chasing them in bushes and trying to do puzzles to get them out and catch them. It's there. It's like a very homage to itself to Ape Escape. So if you wanted to play some Ape Escape, then you would. This is your scratch your itch. It's very, very much so. The music, everything. It's like they do a great job taking these PlayStation franchises and kind of doing like a homage or ode to them.
Yeah.
Because I think the next one I had in the next Galaxy that came up was what they call God of War, and it was like a God of War play, and it was only on the recent Norse mythology, and I was like, the remixes on there was crazy. There's like a remix on there where they have like Kratos go boy in the song and
Yeah.
everything on there, and it's done so well. And it's like everything that you have with the axe, to freeze, to do the puzzles, everything was recreated accurately in that world as an
Damn.
homage
What
to
an
that
awesome
game. To the point
touch.
where I was to the point like, damn, I want to play God of War Ragnarok again. I was like, holy shit, they had that whole thrill in there. And so the next one after that was they call it Dude Raider, which was an ode to Uncharted. So
Oh, that's
you
good.
can get up there
Yeah.
and you get Drake, you get a gun, and it's very much kind of like Uncharted. You see the plane, you see Sully, you see like you see the whole giant boulder going like Indiana Jones style. You got to like do those type of puzzles in there. This is very like Uncharted. Maybe want to play some Uncharted. It did a good job. I was like, damn, I want to put up in Uncharted 1 and start playing that again because it's like the music on there was like da na na na. It's like it's in there in the remix and everything. Very very done
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So I haven't done the one in the Final Galaxy yet. I don't know what that one was, but the last one I did before that was, which I'm not a huge fan of, was Loco Roco. And I was like, I kind of want to play Loco Roco because I did the whole thing where it's like it's playing the music with the kids singing in Japanese in the background, and you're like, and it breaks down into smaller balls, and you fly through the wind, and then you got to go back together and everything again. It does a perfect homage to Loco Roco.
That's great.
So it's like you get those at the very end after you beat the boss. It's like an homage to some kind of PlayStation history, and it's done very, very well. And it's like for me, it inspired me. Like, damn, I want to play some Local.
The
Roco,
first
which I've
game did
never in
this
my
so
life.
well. That Astro's Playroom
Yeah.
that comes with the PS5 did this so well. Have they said Astro's Playroom's coming on the PS5 Pro? Are we safe to assume
No,
that
nothing.
comes pre-installed?
I would imagine
That
right?
already
Yeah, it's free
diminishes.
to every
That diminishes
console.
the value
Yeah.
if it's not on there. It's a great ass
Yeah.
game.
But it's like they've continued to do well with this. Like you said, they've done this before. I think when you'll play when you see it, it's a step up. They stepped up and it's done very very well. So it's like I've gone through this game. I've not rushed through it. Like I was like, I got to beat this and have something to talk
Mhm.
about. I've sat in here. I'll maybe play for a couple of hours and I'll go do some stuff, study or do some things for work, do laundry, stuff like that, and come back and play for another like hour or two and little like small bites, and it does well. And there's a couple times where I did some platforming levels on like these Lost Galaxy universes. Like there's a galaxy for each letter of the console. Not letter, but each shape of the console. So you have the triangle galaxy, the circle galaxy, the square galaxy, and this is where it's joking because everybody's like, we know it's called cross because there was a cross galaxy, not an X
They
galaxy.
called it Cross Galaxy.
So
Cross Galaxy.
it's called cross
That's
galaxy.
good.
Yeah. So like those are like
They lean into everything. They're
platforming.
so self-aware of PlayStation lore and fandom. That's their true appreciation.
And-
Dude Raider.
And they're not fucking easy, man. They're so difficult. Like I'm like you can't just go through that level. You like it's a lot of it. You're dying. It's like damn. How like there was one where I had to pick up the rubber duck from the fucking rubber duck.
Yeah.
And it shoots water all across the hot lava, and I had to like, and it only lasts like 2 or 3 seconds, so I had to sit here and go across the hot lava and jump over like these fire spikes that turn around as a frog shoots missiles at me. That they're homing missiles that follow me as I jump. Like I've died so many fucking times until I figure out a
Frog
way
shooting homing
to
missiles.
kind of maneuver. Yeah, it's crazy, man. And it's like you get past that, and I'm dying on something else. Like the other couple spikes of fire come out there, and I'm like, fuck, I got to do all this stuff again. So it's like there's so many times on those galaxies, those little lost galaxies on there. They're very difficult, but that's like how you unlock like these special bots and characters on there. That's how I got Teddy from Persona 4. Like the last
That's
one
what
I
they were
just
talking
did
about
was Soul
adding is
Bag.
these special bots. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, the last one I got was Soul Bad Guy from Guilty Gear on there. So that's like the only, and I got Kiryu from Yakuza. So like, there's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of special, like a lot of special ones, and I don't want to go too much detail about it because I want y'all to kind of go through and experience
Yeah.
it. But there's a lot that is associated with PlayStation that might be they're not a PlayStation franchise, and like Persona's not, but it's always been like something that's always kind of come to PlayStation first or been associated with PlayStation at some point. So you have like the main, you have Aegis from Persona 3 is
Yeah.
on there. You have Teddy from Persona 4. You have Joker from Persona 5 is on there. That's representative.
That's what I was
Um,
just thinking. Like these are flexes also. Like it's easy to
Yeah.
plop Nathan Drake or I guess not Crash Bandicoot. is not-
Aloy or
yeah. A Sony owned
Yeah.
franchise. Easy to plop
Mhm.
those in there, but it's a flex to I guess Crash works there. It's a flex to have the
Crash is
Persona
there.
characters. It's a flex to have the Metal Gear Solid characters and Crash and
They even have Laura Croft with
Yeah.
a raptor chasing her on that island. That's on there.
great.
They even have the MC from Suikoden's on there. He's like him and his 107 friends. That's what it says when you find them.
Oh, perfect.
So and it's like and it's
Stars
it's
of
perfect when you hit him,
Destiny.
'cause when you hit him, it's perfect because he does the little rune shape at the top when he does his summoning for the shadow magic he uses. That was unique to that character. So like they do the homages very
That's
well.
awesome.
Like even Brant's what was it, Dart from Legend Dragoon, he's in there. So it's like
Oh, Brant!
shit.
Oh, Brant!
Oh,
Game of the year.
man.
Brant's like game of the year now.
Game of the year. Game of the
yeah.
year.
So like I mean they even have fucking Connor, from Quantic Dreams game. So I forget the name escapes me. The Android one.
Detroit Become Human.
Detroit.
Detroit Human. Yep, you got it. So they have him in there, even with his fish in there. That's like a bit from the story. Like they have Ellen Page's character
Beyond Two Souls.
Beyond Two Souls, and the soul floating around. Like if you hit that character, the soul attacks you, the twin brother soul. Like so, it's like there's a little.
Heavy Rain.
There's-
Any Heavy
it's-
Rain
it-
references?
I haven't seen Heavy Rain yet. I haven't beaten the game
Jason.
yet. Yeah,
Sean.
but there's a John.
John.
But that glitch is so funny. But I mean, it's a lot of stuff in there associated with PlayStation that's thrown in there. So, but that may not be a PlayStation franchise, but it's been associated with it. So, but yeah, that's it for me. I'll kick it over to Brent. So, like I said, I'm hoping to have it finished soon. I'm not really rushing through it. I'm not like I wasn't like I got to beat it today so I can finish talking about beating the game today. It's like it's
to
something
be
that
savored.
yeah, I'm just taking my time with it. Like I probably won't play anything tonight, but I'll try my best to probably get it done before I leave out of town because I'm so close.
It's a
I'm very, very
celebration.
close. I'm
It's
like
so
maybe-
much fun to go through. It's just a celebration.
I had so much fun just playing and then like all right, that's enough for now, and then walking away and like not have to put like a time limit or like oh I need something to talk about or something like that. With this game, I was like I'm not gonna do this with this game. I'm just gonna enjoy it. I've put about a good 10 to 15 hours into this game already, and I think there's some more, the hardest levels after you complete the game, and so I'm kind of looking forward to playing that and see how
Kaizo,
that is.
is that the term? Kaizo levels? Like Kaizo Mario?
Yeah,
The
I
Lost,
forgot about
Lost
Kaizo
Galaxy
Mario,
ones.
like the ones you can play when you do the Mario Maker,
Mhm.
like the ones you can download, like the freaking crazy.
Perfect
ones.
jumps on everything.
But I mean, some of those are almost there with Astrobot. Some of those,
It's
there's
close,
some
huh?
like there's some I'm skating on those like little circles, and they're made of glass. So like you skate on them, and as soon as you touch the glass,
cracking.
breaks. So you can't stay there. So you have to, and like there's something ahead on the next one, so you have to like circle around and time it to jump on there, and not to. Dude, there's some on there where I threw that controller. I'm like, fuck.
Damn.
So I was like, there's some that pissed me
Yeah,
off.
that's time to
So,
walk
yeah.
away. That's time to walk away when it gets intense.
Like, oh, that's fair. That's bullshit. You have to store that shit there. Like you get to that point.
Mm.
But yeah, that's it for me. I don't want to take too much of our time. I'll go back
Astrobot.
to Grant and see what he's played. Hopefully he'll play some Astrobot soon.
Speaking of which, it's in the console now.
Yes.
It was downloading. I got Astrobot in today,
Yeah.
as well as one more game as my games acquired.
Oh,
yeah.
Deadpool
it's an
for the
expensive one
360.
now, isn't it?
Yeah, I paid somewhere. What was it, like $45
that's not
for this?
bad.
It wasn't that bad, but I mean, if
Not
you
bad at
look,
all.
this game has jumped up in price.
Yeah.
The re-releases for the Xbox One and the PS4 version of the game have gone up into the hundreds. There's some absolute lunatic that has and I don't see that they're signed. They're not even factory sealed, but for some reason this dude has them listed for $80 $80,000 on one copy and like 40,000 on the other.
It's a pool.
I'm telling you, I looked at them. I'm like, okay, are they signed or I'm like, nope, they're not even factory sealed. There's nothing different about these games. Why does he have them at this price? I looked in the description. He doesn't have anything. So I'm like, okay, dude's just crazy.
Are you watching it by any chance just to see what
No.
it does?
No. I'm sure
Curious.
you could just type it in.
I watch those sometimes. Just like, is somebody going to buy this or are they going to end up dropping this price?
I don't know.
You got to look at the sold listings to try to get a gauge on that sometimes.
I wondered, since this was re-released, if it would actually be backwards compatible. And it's not. It's not on the, I guess, backwards compatible list because I did put it in my Xbox.
Since I got another SKU,
series.
probably.
Yeah.
I think somebody had mentioned, like you said, Brent, somebody mentioned on Twitter that they saw that there's some funny store pages on there where it shows you can download the console, that it's not active yet.
Yeah.
So there were some rumors going around, since that's an Activision game. That's the
thing is, it is an Activision game.
So this may come eventually.
It's Marvel.
And Marvel's been happy with doing licenses. So yeah.
Okay.
It's a license thing. So I mean, as long as Disney's gonna play nice with them.
So you're telling me there's
a possibility.
Because it's the same thing with the Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, right? Because I have the digital copies of that. They never came out with physical on PS4.
Yeah.
But I think Ultimate Alliance 2 is like one of my favorite games of all time because I love that whole Civil War arc, and I think they did a great job of properly telling that versus what they did in MCU. So
I remember that first Ultimate Alliance was like one of the worst PS3 games you could get. That port was like 15 frames per second in some areas.
That's when PS3 was being shitted on, remember? Because they came out super expensive. The games played worse. 360 was ahead of its time. You know, they a year ahead of the schedule. And not a year ahead, because they beat it by a year. But they already worked out a lot of those kinks on those consoles.
And they were still learning that architecture. So. Like I think that Ultimate Alliance 1 runs at like true pure 1080p. Like it pushed, but it sacrificed all of the frame rate to get it to that point in a time where
that cell processor, baby.
The cell is a beast, man. Still believe in the cell.
Yeah, but it just doesn't play. That architecture doesn't play well with, what was it? Unreal 3 for the longest time.
Yeah.
I mean, Ken Kutaragi got in that room and it's like, you know what? I want to outdo Sega Saturn. Let's make a difficult console.
Let's make 9 co-processors.
But other than that, I still actually played a little bit of Pokemon Arceus. As I was playing, I remembered what Cesar had said about this game. And there is kind of this grindy nature to it, where in order to, like, in the other games where you see a Pokemon and catch it, you get the entry in the Pokedex. But in this game, you're like trying to actually fill out and research these Pokemon. So there's like this checklist of things to do. So it's like, watch this on a certain Pokemon. It might say, watch it do quick attack, this many times, and it has a number by it, and you can watch it do it once, twice, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, and so on and so forth.
So like achievements is a Pokedex kind of
semi. I mean, it's basically a list, and there's different numbers by it.
Also, and sounds like Pokemon Snap, like you would have to get them in a certain condition, like.
Yeah, kind of. But so when you get those, you report back to the professor, and he puts a check mark on what you've done. And you don't have to like completely fill the thing out. You only have to get an equivalent of 10 points, and that like qualifies as, okay, well, you've got a full entry on this thing. You've mastered, the whole, you've learned everything about this particular one.
Instead of just catching it and adding everything to it. That's
a
neat element.
All of them, I mean, it's like catching is the first thing. So you have to catch multiples of them or battle multiples of them, or, there's all these different conditions to do it. And there's, the main missions, what you're doing, there's side missions. And some people say, hey, I want to know everything there is to know about this one Pokemon. So once you fill out that entry, I want to see it,
Cool.
So you're kind of incentivized to go do that.
I like that concept a lot. Like, there's more research involved with certain side quest requests.
It's like what Brand said. Like if you capture multiples of the same Pokemon, you unlock more and more
Mm-hmm.
of the
It's an
lore, the
incentive
set,
to not just kill the
the
Rattata
stats.
after you've caught it, right? Or the Pidgey.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just go to your fenced yard and see 85 Rattatas. And I'm like, well, all these things.
I
Just running
might
around
like this Pokemon. This might be the
There's
reinvention, reimagining that
it is actually pretty interesting, and there's not like a lot of what I want to say, like trainer battles. There's not a lot of that. I know when I talked to my son about it, he was saying there might be 15 trainer battles within the whole game, honestly. And the majority of them happen kind of more toward the end of the game. Like you sporadically have a couple here and there,
but it's
but
not
mostly
like 8
it's
bug catchers in between here and the
Yeah.
next town type thing.
I mean, Richard, I mean, to echo Brand, I think I mentioned this before. I think this is the one Pokemon you would really enjoy because it is in the realms of Breath of the Wild. They
Yeah.
expect you to explore.
It's open. Yeah, you just
Yeah.
explore.
You're not gonna
have
find
this
as
one. I might
many
mess
stuff
around
as
with
you
this
would.
one. You talk about it
It's
every
actually
week, and
pretty
I'm like,
interesting.
all these
Yeah.
things sound totally different than just the
There
cookie cutter
there is a
style.
crafting element. There's like a crafting element. So if
Brant.
but I mean seriously, it's like Breath of the Wild where the stuff is just there around you.
Okay.
And you can buy the Pokeballs, or if you're out there and you see the stuff for them, just pick it up, craft them.
That's useful.
Immediately.
That's useful.
You don't have to be near a campfire or a workbench or whatever it is. They do have like these little workstations, but immediately once you get put out into the field, one of the little companions that's kind of guiding you along is like, here, have this toolkit, and the toolkit allows you to craft anywhere. So
Cool.
and
That
as
sounds
you
intriguing.
because you're new, you have to like basically rank up as part of the research team, and as you rank up, you get more recipes for like super potions and different kinds of Pokeballs and stuff like that.
I like
So
this premise a lot.
it's actually pretty interesting.
Is there a sequel to this one announced, or did they say, "Hey, this one
Yeah.
did really well. We're gonna keep moving with this type"?
The next one is the Legends AZ or ZA or whatever. It was announced at one of the last Pokemon Direct things.
And it's
they
similar to
haven't-
this one.
It's supposed to be in this Legends series,
for
but it's
Switch?
gonna take. Yeah,
I think the
Gotta get away from this
rumor is
thing.
gonna
We
be
gotta
on
get away
next
from this
console.
damn
Yeah, I
Switch,
think
man.
that's the thing is it was
Right.
announced for Switch, but who
Yeah.
knows?
Professor still got that gnat all over him.
That fucker is fighting. I mean, he was gone for a minute, and that motherfucker's like swinging now. He's like,
But-
bitch, I left you alone for the next hour. It's like, he's
Coming
like,
for your ass.
And that is the one thing is because the Pokemon are roaming around naturally, and you don't necessarily have to battle them. You can sneak up on them in the grass and like just throw a Pokeball at them. And certain Pokemon are shy in nature, and so if you don't sneak up on them, they'll run away, get scared. Others, if they see you, they'll flat out like attack you. You have a dodge roll to avoid their attacks if you start getting charged by an aggressive Pokemon. So you have to think about it. But it's I don't know, it's a lot of fun. I think you'd enjoy it. Just give it a try.
Intrigued.
it might be one of the few Pokemon games you'll probably stick to at the very end because you're not tasked on the whole collect them all thing.
Yeah.
Go to the next gym. Go through this area. Go to the next gym.
Yeah, it shakes up the formula. They saw that success with like that open world type of formula. It's like, hey, let's add Pokemon to it.
Yeah.
You know?
What Pokemon universe is this? Like, did it stick to one of those, or is
It's
it
the
just a
very
bunch of
beginning.
them?
You're
It's like it's the
basically
very beginning.
you're sent like way far into the past.
Like Red and Blue, or there's
No.
all sorts of Pokemon.
no.
Like
across
it's-
the- okay.
It'll be like the equivalent of us, like the 15 or 1400s if you were sent there.
But the Pokemon are not.
No.
They're from all generations. It's not like you're not in the
It's
Gold universe
not
or the
every-
Crystal universe or whatever.
It's like the OG Pokemon. It's like they just like Brent, correct me if I'm wrong, but they just started discovering them and researching them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people that are against like the research team and the fact that we're using Pokeballs. They're like, hey, why are you using those things? You shouldn't be
They should be free.
capturing them.
Yeah.
They should be free, you know?
They're not wrong.
So,
This would be a valid argument.
I think it's like what Brand said. I think it's just the invention of the Pokeball just happened. It's like the very start of this whole process. It's like hundreds and hundreds of years in the past.
This sounds awesome. So I remember when you were playing it, like, I mean, I saw trailers and stuff, but I remember when you were playing it, it's like, this is the Pokemon game I had kind of envisioned as a kid, like where it could go to.
But that is the one thing, because they're out in the wild and you do have the limitations of the Switch. You may see some funky stuff go on. You may see like Pokemon around you, right in front of you, are going to be fine. You might see a bird off in the distance and he's like flapping like this.
Yeah. Because they don't render the whole thing until it's up close to you. It's just
and then he'll come like right in the range, and then he's just like going like regular, and then he just barely gets out of range, and he's going like 2 frames. So
Nintendo needs new hardware, man.
Hey man, I don't know, man. It's got that Game Freak jank in there.
Yeah, that's definitely
they stopped doing that quality control,
which is kind of
they stopped that QA.
Kind of has a coziness to it.
I mean, they have always seemed to have a hard transition going into 3D, right? They never had these issues in 2D games. You know, it's just like this 3D games. It's like they have some QA issues in there.
Yeah.
So.
And then other than that, I played some more of Fable 3, and I actually played with friend of the show, Mermy.
Oh, multiplayer Fable. Is it better than single player Fable?
It was a chore to get it going.
Sounds like Fable.
It was a chore to get it going.
You said last week you hadn't even got to the point where you could do multiplayer, right? Is it just a long lead in of tutorials to get to that point?
Yeah, I think you have to get through a certain point, and then we were trying to figure it out, and then we just didn't have the time. And so I got on and we started playing, and we started trying to figure it out, and we couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. And you basically, through this emulation, playing on Series X, at least on my end, I go through and it basically takes me to the like a 360 type menu, and I have to send them a friend request, or I have to get sent a friend request, because we were playing. And
you have to hit start and select to pull up that menu, right? To pull
up because we were playing on the series consoles. We're friends on the Xbox Series and everything, but we weren't on 360. So I had to like send them a friend request through this 360 part of the back end of that game. They had to accept it, because that was the biggest thing. We kept trying to figure, why can't I play? And it says, you're okay, I'll send you an invite. Players in your party are not playing this game. What's going on?
Go backwards like that. We found this out when we were playing Gears of War River years ago on the newer consoles, that somebody who we weren't friends with on 360 couldn't play with us.
Yeah, you literally have to send them a friend request through the 360 part of the game.
So once you're there, that stuff works flawlessly. But there's some weird hiccups between, like, I'm in the old dashboard and everything all of a sudden, and messaging is through there, and
you see the profiles with the rep and like everything, the old profiles and the.
It's definitely a throwback experience bios when you're trying to get through that. Yeah.
Yep.
Fable 3 to me just doesn't seem like that long ago. It's like, oh, that was the last Fable game. That wasn't too horribly long ago. But it has been.
We did finally get it going. And we had to figure out the fact that they've already played, and they wanted me to experience and play the game, because technically when you do multiplayer, you can join somebody's game and play with them and everything, but basically once you go back to your game, you don't have anything from that story.
We did this with one of the Far Cry games, Cesar, where we had to like, all right, I got to join your game because we won't have anything unless we join your game type thing. Like, progress wasn't carried over by the other player.
So literally, like, I did a part of the story with them, and then I went back to my game because their game, Murmy's game's crashed. And I realized, I'm like, oh shit, I have to redo that whole story part on my end now. So thankfully it was only like 20, 30 minutes. So it wasn't too bad. We continued playing. We continued to have like these weird hiccups. I know at one point, her character like completely was bald and didn't have any of the uniform that she was supposed to be wearing on. My character froze at one point in almost like an A pose.
Oh.
And she said I was moving around fine, and when in combat, I'd sit there and I'd do like the battle animation, but as soon as I'd stop, he'd just go straight to an A pose, and he'd be like gliding around and everything.
We need clips. We need clips of the broken Fable. Marmy says in the chat the co-op is glitchy as hell.
Oh
Sounds
my God,
like it.
So, and eventually I had to stop because we were doing it glitched again. And we were going through a story beat. All of a sudden, I couldn't open chests. I had to find a chest, and I'd have to have her come. I'm like, hey, it's over here. Come back over here and open the chest. And eventually, we got to a point where it's like a siege level, and you're in like a little courtyard, and you fire like a mortar from the courtyard at these enemies that are approaching. And then eventually the enemies are at the back gate. So you're supposed to jump down from the rampart and fight the enemies once they break through the gate. Because that action is tied to the A button. The A button just wasn't working.
What happened?
Like I don't, like I said, I
broken.
couldn't open chests. I couldn't open certain chests for some reason. When I went to do the part with the mortar, it let me, which the A was the action button for there to enter that.
That worked.
I was like, okay, so maybe it's fine. But then when I got out of that and I'm supposed to jump down from the rampart into the courtyard, you use A to vault down off of it. It wouldn't let me. And I tried like coming back down and running down the stairs, and there's like a barricade at the stairs. I'm like, I can't do anything. This is it.
So
This is done.
Fable 1 was overpromised, but well received, especially with the Lost Chapters expansion on Xbox and PC. Fable 2 was universally received. I remember when Fable 3 came out, people were like, why are they still making Fable games? Like this was not the route to go. Was this one of the knocks on it, the co-op experience?
I don't know, because from everything that I'm being told is the co-op for Fable 2 was just like, you could see like somebody's avatar in a floating orb.
It was a shimmering type thing.
And they would be kind of basically in the same area you were, and you could hear them over voice chat. That was it. This one you can actually join in and play the story.
Can you? It doesn't sound like you can.
Aside from being glitchy. And that was the other thing, is once we finally had everything figured out and we're trying to join each other's game, Mermaid had downloaded every piece of free DLC, which I cannot blame them for. But because of the fact that they downloaded every piece of free DLC that was available, it kept saying, you can't join this person because you don't have the same content available as they do. I'm like, so I had to go back through, and I tried to go through the 360 end at first and download it, and then I just had to back completely out to the Microsoft store on the on my actual Xbox's dashboard.
I thought they made this easy with all the backwards compatibility stuff. It's supposed to be any version just kind of flies.
It wasn't for some reason.
That's horrible.
For some reason, it just wouldn't do it. So, but yeah, so once we eventually got it going, it somewhat worked, but it was definitely janky. But the jank made it so good. I forgot what it was. I forgot what happened, but we were laughing so damn hard.
I wonder if y'all were both playing on 360s, if it would be a better experience, like native hardware.
I don't know. I could always try. I have a 360. I don't think Murmy does, though.
Spares. You spare some 360s for scientific experimentation. Fable 3, a bitch to get up and run and co-op online. That's funny. In the year of our Lord 2024.
2024.
Have you poked around on Reddit or anything to see if anybody else has experienced something like that since all the backwards compatible stuff has been rolling out?
Yeah, Marmy said that she had dealt with it before and she knew it was janky. I don't know if this was exactly the level of jank she remembered, but
KT says you humped a pizza or something. What's the
humped
something?
Pizza.
The pizza or the humping? Well, a cheese wheel.
There was the mini game. The mini game for
pizza humping,
like making a pie.
No, not pizza humping.
Not pizza humping.
Oh, making a pie. We were always calling that pizza humping.
There's your episode title, Pizza Humping.
Could be.
But it's a mini game because that's actually part of the story we were at. You have to go and earn cash, and so in order to earn this cash, you go and play this pie making game. And so your character takes out some dough, throws it on the table, and like rolls it out. And it's basically a quick time event to where you just press some of the face buttons. And I started doing it, and my character's behind the stall with the rolling pin. But when they go and take the dough, they don't have anything in their hand and they throw it out. The dough, the model for the dough is like hovering above my head. And so I'm watching the dough go from a ball to like this flat thing right above my head. And then eventually my character like glitches even more.
You gotta have some clips from this thing. It sounds insane.
He glitched into the table. So he's throwing it on top of the table, and then he immediately like sinks down into the table and is just basically looks like he's humping the table. It was good. It was I was laughing really hard at it. Apparently it looked normal on Mermy's screen though.
And yours was jankified.
Mine was janky.
You got the better version.
I got the better version. But yes, I think that was it actually. Aside from the we had a decent Warzone win. I know I had I got some clips.
Warzone.
Where
we could be playing Warzone.
I shot that flare out the window here, trying to bring one of y'all back. Yeah, the whole thing, the flare sent up into the air, and then I ran around, and y'all weren't there. The flare's still on my screen and everything.
No, you abandoned us in our time of need.
We all had jank that Friday.
Yeah,
we all had some jank.
I had some weird stuttering. It was very intermittent though, where I would like rubber band out of a chest. It was almost like when I opened a chest, it wouldn't render right, or like something in the environment, a chest or a door, like anything that had to like change in the environment. Movement was fine, but as soon as I like affected something that had to render, it was like, eee. But it was so intermittent. It wasn't what you've had to deal with recently. You put up that post of our win from a week and a half ago, the epic parachuting in. I sent that to a friend of the show, Boy. She was like, "Oh hell yeah." It was such an epic finale.
That one and the Warzone humping.
Warzone humping was pretty solid as they stand over you. Ooh.
As they try to raise you or try to mark your team.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna mark you and your team.
Need to start getting used to just like holding B to just end it when you're far away from somebody, you know?
Yeah.
I need to get in that practice. I just end up sitting there and it's like, no, just go ahead and get it over with, and they can't find the rest of the people. Because they're just gonna come interrogate you, right? Your squad has been marked. Fuck. I could have just been out of this and get ready to parachute again.
But yep, that's it for me. Fable 3, Pokemon, Legends Arceus, and a little bit of Warzone.
All right. That's our week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this week, and we will catch you next week. Bye.
See you.
Adios.